Talina minya kumbula elona ngasihleli sisemaweni Talina minya kumbula elona ngasihleli sisemaweni Talina minya kumbula elona ngasihleli sisemaweni Langa mngatholi intambo ethuma wami uphethwe ikhanda nami ngahamba emakhaya lelo langa mngatholi intambo ethuma wami uphethwe ikhanda nami ngahamba.
Hello everybody and welcome to Zing Setalawena. Mr. Nkala will continue his discussion of the roles and positions held by women in pre-colonial Africa. In particular, today he will discuss everything from all-female regiments headed by, for example, the Mino or the Goji of the Dahomey Kingdom in West Africa, to Princess Heshepi of the Kwabe Nation, who challenged Chaga, the mighty Zulu king, and Princess Mageje's participation in Charasira Moholo, the Rosary King's ascension to the throne.
As women,
yes.
So you see, yes, so women are so empowered in some African societies.
Yes.
So another one, now we come to the military, point where we have got some female regiments. Like in African traditional military systems, they were female as much as they were male military regiments.
Yes.
So it's not like it was only men who were going to war. In some African societies, yes, it was only men, but in others, it was also men and women. You see, so the importance of military in the community is for protection from especially foreign attacks or internal maybe coups, or civil wars. Yeah. So the inclusion of women in the military system means that women were positioned to be protectors of their communities. So they put their lives at risk for the benefit of peace in the locality.
Okay.
So I can give you examples like in the kingdom of Dahomey, in present day Benin. Do you remember we also spoke about Dahomey, where you said there's a movie I must watch.
You need to watch the Woman King, yes.
Woman King, yes.
Yes.
So there was an elite. So there was an elite female military regiment called the Mino. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Yes. So it was called the Mino. That was the name of the regiment. Yes. They were so elite. So in all the European writings, they are referred to as the Amazons, which is a name derived in Greek mythology. So if you come across, so like sometimes if you are researching in Dahomey, about Dahomey, and then you hear about the Amazons, they are called the Mino.
Okay.
You see, depending on which research source, which sources, but if you go to the European sources, they usually call them the Amazons.
Okay.
So the overwhelming number of casualties in the Dahomey military is said to have led to the recruitment of women into the military. So the Mino had well-drilled female soldiers who had masculine physique. So they formed the king's bodyguards. And the leader of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, you know him, right?
Yes.
The former Libya, yes. She also had a female bodyguard, So
yes.
you see now this thing is now coming up.
Yes.
So now this thing is now that spirit is now coming even in the modern world. So she had a female bodyguard. Surprisingly, they're also popularly known as the Amazons.
Okay. Yeah, so they drew their inspiration from the Dahomey.
Yes. And And then you may ask yourself, why do sometimes kings, they would like to be guided by women? Maybe it's because women are more trustworthy than men, or maybe women are loyal. Those are some of the things that may have motivated those kings to be guided by women, because somehow they trusted those women to become their bodyguards. You see?
Okay.
So it also shows the role of women, or how they are perceived in that society. So in Nguniland, in South Africa, in South Africa, there was the Kwabe nation, right, which was under King Pagatwayo. The Kwabe princess, she was called Heshepi. Her name was Heshepi.
Okay.
You know, she was the commander of a female regiment. So Princess Heshepi and the female regiment, they fought against the Zulu regiment they fought against the Zulu warriors of King Shaka in the winter of 1818. Yes. So I think this is the only female regiment which fought with King Shaka.
Okay.
You see? So that may also say something, you know,
yeah,
because
Shaka
Shaka
was a very brave woman.
Yes. But the Kwabe, they said, no, this elite regiment, of course they were defeated, but the fact that they went there and fought with them, you know, it speaks volume. It speaks a lot.
When others were running away from Shaka.
Yes, you see. And they fought, yes. Others were running. These women, they fought with her.
Yeah.
Yes. And look at the courage.
Yes, that's a lot of courage.
So, yes. So this is where the community clan comes from, the Kwabe people. Yeah. So, are we together?
Yes.
Yes. So, also King Shaka of the Zulu nation of present-day South Africa also had female military regiments. You see. So you see, King Shaka also trusted women. Are we together?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So, he had to. Didn't his ascension to the throne? His mother was very influential in that, wasn't she?
Yes. Very, very true. Very true. Her mother was yes. Her mother was very instrumental. You know, she was her mentor, her advisor, and she used to call it my small fire. And then she said one day, this Umlilwana, you know, a velti fire, you know, sometimes someone can just throw maybe just cigarette.
Yes.
And the whole veld, the whole then there will be this fierce wildfire. So she said, you are Umlilwana today. You are Umlilwana today. You are just all fire today. But one day you are going to be this veld fire. So she was very instrumental. And so examples of King Shaka's female regiments were got Umvuthwamini, Inshabati, Imbabazane, Unkisimana, Ulusiba, all these were women going to wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were they commanding all female regiments, or were they just the generals and they had male?
Well, I failed to get their commanders, but what I'm very sure of is that those were female. I believe they had female commanders. I think we had to find their names, yes.
Okay.
Because they are female commanders. Like, for example, some of King Shaka's, in English, I'm going to call them stepmothers, right? Because his father has many wives.
His father's wives.
Yes, so some of his his father's wives, they were commanders. For example, we have got Queen Langazana, from the Kazu clan. We have got Queen Mkabi. You know, they were commanders of this regiment called Isiklepe. You see.
Okay.
And then even her auntie Princess Mkabai, she was also a commander. She commanded this regiment called Abakulu. Shaka's auntie, yes, Princess Mkabai.
Okay.
She was also a commander of Abakulusi, you see.
Okay.
Yes. And even today, there's a place called Abaqulusi in KwaZulu Natal. It's in Vryheid, you see. So that's a legacy of Princess Mkabai as the commander. But anyway, we are going to talk about Princess Mkabai in this presentation later.
Okay.
So on our first episode, when we are speaking about the Lemba, do you remember when we speak about the Lemba? We say that some people who lived in the border of the Ndebele Kingdom, they spoke other type of languages. You remember, like Karanga, Tonga, Sutu, Ebirwa, which is a Sutu dialect.
Mm-hmm.
So I even say these people, you remember, I said they were part of the military intelligence. So they will go to in the border, they on the other side of the border because they spoke the same language. But they were not wearing like the typical Ndebele people. So they'll go there as traders or going there to see their kingsmen or some of their family members. But they going there to get information, and then they'll take that information back to the Ndebele king. You see? So that is why we say they're also Ndebele people. They are, like as I said, the Ndebele is so fluid. Anybody who wants to become Ndebele can become, because we know that they are Ndebelers. Even if they were playing pivotal roles like being military intelligence officers, you see. So I think you remember when I was speaking of that, right?
Yes.
So some of them were even women, because in military intelligence it's all about concealment. So what will happen is, if someone does not speak Ndebele and she's a woman, who will ever think that she's a military officer or she's an intelligence officer? Just a woman going on the other side of the place, maybe going for trading and things like that.
Yes.
Who will ever think that she is actually a military or she's a spy, if I can put it that way? No one will ever think of that.
No.
So women have been used for a very long time in African societies as
spies,
or put it in a formal way, as military intelligence officers to get valuable information that is going to be used by that nation for security reasons. You see?
Yes.
So they play a very big role in the Ndebele society. And another example, the last dynasty to rule the Kalanga Kingdom of present-day Zimbabwe and Botswana, it was called the Lozi or Rozi dynasty. I think you heard of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they were using the Moyose name.
Yeah.
So in order for the Lozi to get the throne from the ruling family before they got it was called the Chibundule dynasty. So before the Lozi dynasty, there was the Chibundule dynasty. For them, to get the throne from the Chibundule dynasty, they used a woman. You see, so are we together there?
Yes.
So what they did was this. The leader of the Lozi group was called the Chilisamuhulu, right? So his salutation is called Mambo. So if you say Mambo, it was more like it was his salutation, but his name was not really King. King is Ishe, like remember when he spoke about that. Mambo is like to say Your Majesty.
Oh,
if I can put that, it's like a salutation.
Okay.
Like Mambo, like something like that. But the name for the king, the title is Ishe. But people like to say Mambo, Yes. So he was called Mambo, the North leader. So his name was called Chilisamuhulu. So he allowed his daughter, Princess Makete, to be married to the reigning Chibundule king there, you see. But it was actually a military intelligence mission, you see, because the princess had to get the hair particles of the Chibundule, while they are still sleeping. So it was wanted for medical purposes, you see. So she managed to get those particles. So they wanted the hair which is in this. You see this part which is called the. If you are a child, we call it the fontanelle.
Yeah.
The fontanelle. Yes. In Ndebele we say Nkala. So that was that was the hair which is positioned there. That's the one which was wanted for witchcraft purposes, so that they can doctor the the king, and then he gets spiritually weak, and then they can go and attack
and overthrow him.
So this princess, it was the princess who managed to do that, and she gave that hair to whoever she gave to, and that person went to give it to his father. You see, and his father. And then his father gave it to the witch doctor, or should I say the traditional doctor, who was called Ngomane Kumbo. So Ngomane Kumbo, he doctored that hair like in a ritual way. So in other words, after that, when they saw that now this is now successful, then they went to attack, and they managed to win, and they got the throne.
Okay.
You see? So yes. So there are many, there are so many women I can use. It's not that there's no time, but there are so many women I can use. Or we can talk about the world,
yes.
about women being used as military intelligence. And in most cases, people, they think women are physically weak, emotionally weak. Women are actually so powerful in African societies by being perceived as weak physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
So by that, people take them for granted, but they are the ones who have made strong kingdoms to fall, and weak kingdoms to rise.
Yeah.
You see? So that's the position of the African woman in an African society. And then another point is about marriage institution, because I think that is where many women they become part of this institution for most part of their lives. Yes. In Africa. Yes. So marriage is the legal or formally recognized union of people as partners in a personal relationship. That is marriage.
Yeah.
I got this from the Oxford Dictionary.
Okay.
So marriage has been used by African societies for diplomatic reasons like allegiance, yes, commonwealth, and alliances. So you will find women, especially princesses, becoming part of these diplomatic marriages, which in most cases were or are arranged marriages. Yes. So there are many, there are endless examples where you will find a princess from one kingdom going to marry to another kingdom, or things like that.
Yes.
There are so many, and meaning that princesses in Africa are part of the sectors that maintain love, peace, and harmony across African communities.
Yes.
You see. So there are also many types of marriages, but I'm going to talk about some of them, which I believe I am going to present in this episode. So we have got polygamy. What is according to understanding, what is polygamy?
Where one man has a lot of wives.
Actually, many people they say polygamy is whereby someone has got more than one wife.
Yeah.
But polygamy is whereby you have got more than one wife or one husband at the same time. That is polygamy. In most cases, people, they use the word polygamy when they're talking about when someone has got only more than one wife.
Yes.
But polygamy is whereby you have got more than one partner, married partner at the same time. So
okay,
in polygamy, we have got polygyny, we have got polygyny, and we have got polyandry. I think you've heard of that, right?
Yeah, yes, I have.
Yeah. So polygyny is marriage system of having more than one wife at the same time. And then polyandry is having more than one husband at the same time.
Yes.
In Africa, both polygamy and polyandry are found, okay, across different societies. So, yes. So polygamy in general, it enabled all women, in the society, to have an opportunity of being part of the marriage system. So since African societies had disproportionate ratio between genders, or should I say sexes, you see, so you will find that there is an overwhelming. You will find that in the society maybe there will be an overwhelming number of women more than men, because usually men were drafted into compulsory military service, where many of them died in wars before men could retire and be eligible to get married. So by the time men were allowed to marry, there were very few of them in comparison to women who had reached marriageable age. You see? Yes. So polygamy was one of the solutions to balance the ratio in the society. You see. So you find sometimes, if I read some of missionary documents or people or researchers from outside Africa, sometimes, especially those old writings or old literature, you will find that they dictated polygamy. So they said it was a savage practice. Africans, they are sexual savages. Polygamy, there was a reason behind it.
Yes,
it was not about sexual gratification
need in the society.
Yes. It's not like they were perverts. No. Like as I said, that there is polyandry and then there is polygamy
to a problem that exists.
Yes. Because many women were not going to wars anyway. So are all those women going to live all of their lives with no men? You see, so that needs to be interpreted, and people have to know some of the reasons behind polygamy.
Yes.
So according to African cultures, a married woman was viewed as respectable or of high status than unmarried women. So polygamy also gave all women that opportunity of being viewed with great respect. You see, so it gave them a certain position, like as I said, to balance a certain ratio or to solve a certain problem in a society. So in some communities, like within the Ndebele community, polygamy was approved by the first wife again.
Yes.
So a man could not marry another woman without the approval of the first wife. You see? So this gave the woman an opportunity to be highly respected by his husband, so that she could approve him of getting another wife. So in other words, women again are the gatekeepers of polygamy in some African societies.
So if she said no, you didn't get a second wife.
Sorry?
So
you don't, because if she says no, you're not going to get a second wife. So now what they will do is, actually there is even a program on DSTV. I don't know whether you have heard of it or you've seen it. Where Mr. Mthaniya is one of those famous polygamous men in South Africa. Do you know him?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so there is this program where he is helping men to tell their women that they want a second wife. Do you know the program?
Yes, I've seen it. Where he goes
whereby
he helps them and ask for a second wife or a third wife or a fourth wife.
Sorry?
Where he helps the men. Where he helps the men to go and ask for a second and third and fourth wife.
Yes. So even in the Ndebele community, it is like that, because the Zulu people are working. Literally and historically and socially. Yes. So that gives a picture of that is our culture. So it is the woman. The gatekeeper is not the man. The gatekeeper is the woman. She's the one who opens the gate of polygamy. If she you. So what happens is if man wants to be if a man wants to stay alive, right, what he will do in most cases is he is going to spoil his woman, you know. He's going to spoil his woman with you know, he's going to respect her, he's going to do good, you know, and then when it becomes a little bit easier, you know, for the okay, you have another woman, and you must have a very good reason why you want another woman. This is where Mselegu comes in. Mselegu comes in to help the men to present a very good speech to their women.
Okay.
Do you see? Because if you are not good in speaking again, the woman will disapprove that polygamous. You see. So men are so respectful to their wives because the more they respect it, the more the high chances that the gatekeeper is going to allow you to have another wife. You see.
Okay.
So in most cases, people think that if a woman is in a polygamous marriage, the woman, you know, the man did it without the approval of the woman. The man is abusive of the second woman. No, it is the woman who opens and closes that system.
Okay.
You see. So women have got so much power. So there is polygamy because of women in Africa. Yeah. So, and then in regards to polyandry, it was practiced in African communities like the Irigwe people of Nigeria. They're called the Irigwe people. I don't know whether you have heard of that.
No.
Yeah, so you must go and find out about these ones. They're called the Irigwe. They're found in northern Nigeria.
Okay.
So a woman could have multiple husbands at the same time in that society. And the father of the child was or is said to be the one who is believed to have been with the woman during conception.
Okay.
So this cultural practice was not in favor with the missionaries. And the missionaries, like as I said, you know, you find such things in old literature, because missionaries, they came to Africa because they thought Africans were savages that needed to be enlightened with Christianity. But some of these cultures, you know, like as we say, they have got reasons behind. It's not like Africans are savages, you know. It is only that sometimes they're not being understood. You know, the way they understand themselves, yes. So they said, no, this is demonic, you know, and then they convinced the colonial agents to try to stop this practice. So they introduced this Islamic law called Ida. I don't know whether you've heard of that. Ida.
No.
So like you know, in Nigeria, they are also Muslims, or should I say, even among the Irigwe people, they're also Muslims. So now these colonial agents they're now using Islam to try to destroy this culture. So they regularized Ida. So Ida is an Islamic law which regulates the time a widow or divorcee can start to be in a relationship with another man. You see? To get that?
Yes.
Yes. So the law is also meant to give the woman time to be checked whether she goes into the next marriage, knowing very well whether she is pregnant or not from her previous husband. You see?
Okay.
So the Muslims and the Irigwe men, they were in favor of this law because it regulated the movement of women, you know, this constant movement. Because these women now, if they had more husbands, not boyfriends, husbands, so they'll move, you know, they'll be moving around to this other man, to this other man, to this other man. So now, so through this law, you know, a man will have time to know whether this is his child or not, you see.
So what problem in society was this polyandry solving? Were there too many women?
So
Were there too many men
yes.
in relation to women?
Yes. So in many cases, this kind of system starts because there are too many men than women.
Okay.
So that's how it starts in most cases. Yes. And then it goes. Yes. And then it becomes part of life. And then so it's fine, Yeah. But the missionaries, they are the ones who came with the spirit of division or destroy.
Okay.
Yes. And then they were influencing men to say, no, don't allow these women that disrespecting you. So they give the men this perspective, especially the fact that, people were now Christians and they're now Muslims, because Muslims, they've got, so in Islam, they've got this law. And so now they're trying by all means to play here and there to destroy this African cultural practice. That the people there, they've been practicing this maybe for a very long time, but now with this intervention they are now seeing new perceptions and now some of them, they are now being not in favor with it.
Okay.
And this polyandry was finally declared illegal by the post-independence government of Nigeria in 1968. So you will find that sometimes you will find that now with this nationalization of African states, right? You will find that different kingdoms now, they are put in a one entity. Like, for example, you will find that maybe in Nigeria, there are many kingdoms and many tribes and many clans, but now they fall under one law, you see. And maybe sometimes you'll find that maybe the government or the ruling tribe, it only wants its culture to be the one which is dominating. So, I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say.
Yes, yes, I do.
Yes.
So then the other cultures are sort of like overlooked.
Yeah, exactly. Because some other cultures that are being practiced by a minority group, you see, and they don't have a bigger voice maybe in the society or in these nationalistic communities or countries, you see. So you will find, so in 1968, the post-independence government of Nigeria, it declared this practice as illegal, you see. So that is how, yes. So this functioned women who practice this marriage system, while men were allowed to continue with polygamy, you see. So,
okay.
And then we also have got same-sex marriage. I think you understand same-sex marriage, right?
Yes.
Yes. So this is whereby people of the same sex get married.
Yeah.
So
that concludes our session today. Thank you very much to Mr. Arnold Nkala, and thank you for listening. And to those that have been with us for a while, thank you very much for your support. It's very much appreciated. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel and our TikTok. Thank you. Catch you on the next episode.
Ezakithi wendawo ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wena wema wendawo ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wena wema wendawo ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wena wema Ndaba ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wena wema. Awudali nami ngiyakhumbula elona ngasihleli sisemaweni Awudali nami ngiyakhumbula elona ngasihleli sisemaweni awudali nami ngiyakhumbula elona ngasihleli sisemaweni elo langa nami ngathola intambo ethuma wami uphethwe ikhanda nami ngahamba emakhaya lelo langa nami ngathola intambo ethuma wami uphethwe ikhanda nami ngahamba emakhaya sengiphethwe inkumbulo ngizwilo yangigcina sengisithwa zindaba ezakithi sengiphethwe inkumbulo ngizwilo yangigcina sengisithwa zindaba.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to part 4 of the roles and positions held by women in pre-colonial Africa. In today's session, Mr. Arnold Maibongo Nkala discusses same-sex marriages, which were found in parts of West Africa, matrilocality, a system by which a mother's lineage is followed, as opposed to patrilocality, and the roles that chaperons played, or amaqhikiza, as they are known in Ndebele culture.
So there are same-sex marriages in African communities as part of African culture. You see.
Okay.
So the form of sex marriage that is found in some African communities is the woman-to-woman marriage. So I've never heard of the man-to-man. It's the woman-to-woman marriage.
Okay.
They are found in many places, especially there are so many in West Africa. There even in Kenya, you know. So in Kenya, this type of marriage is found among the Kamba, the Kisi, the Nandi, the Kikuyu people, you know, and others. And then in Nigeria, it is found among the ethnic groups like the Kalabari and the Igbo people. You know, are we together?
Okay.
Did you get my last point, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this kind of marriage is done for many reasons across those societies there. You see, so I can give you some of those reasons.
Okay, please go ahead. I mean,
yes. So a woman, okay, sometimes a woman of high status. When I say high status, maybe it's a wealthy woman, or is a woman maybe who's a princess, or you know, a woman who's very influential, maybe can marry another woman as a sign of her powerful status in the society.
Okay.
You see, yes. So now in these societies, if a woman becomes so powerful, politically, socially, whatever, or even or maybe divine, sometimes she gets this status of like, people view her as like a man, like, you know, she's so powerful, you know, and to a point that she can even marry another woman. So it's for status, you know, to say I can now even marry a woman just like any other man, you see. So another reason is whereby maybe an older woman who has reached maybe menopause, you know, marrying maybe a younger woman whom she can make to sleep with anyone or with someone so that she can get children.
Okay. So instead of the men,
sometimes long ago,
instead of the man marrying a second wife, the woman picks a new partner, and then she is tasked with bearing children for that family.
Yes. It depends. Remember, the husband is this woman, so it depends with this woman. Maybe sometimes, she is even a widow. No, she's even a widow. She does not even have a husband, but she wants to have children sometimes.
Okay.
You see, so you not only about a married woman.
Okay.
a woman. So, like I said, there are many reasons. Sometimes even a married woman can get another woman, can marry another woman, and then she can say, you can sleep maybe with my. Sometimes she can even say, you can even sleep with my niece or with whoever she,
Okay.
And then the child belongs to that woman.
Okay.
The female husband, if I can put it that way.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So sometimes some of them, they used to even, marry slaves, during slavery. The slaves that they had, you will find a woman with another slave woman whom she calls her wife.
Okay.
And she's cooking for her. She's doing everything for her,
Okay.
So sometimes you will find, they say, So sometimes you will find a married woman marrying another woman. She will allow to sleep with her husband, like as you said, so that she can increase the number of household members sometimes.
Okay.
So, sometimes, there can be complications. Sometimes maybe a woman does not want, like there's some cesarean operations, and then maybe the woman will be like, no, I don't want to risk myself again. Maybe let me look for another person to increase the household. There are many reasons,
Okay.
There are many reasons. So currently in Africa, South Africa is the only African country that has legalized the same-sex marriage, with a constitution that also protects against discrimination based on sexual orientation and identity. You see,
Okay.
and then about 22 African countries have decriminalized the same-sex relationships.
Okay.
Even though South Africa is the only African country to legalize the marriage of same-sex relationships.
Okay.
So this thing, historically, with evidence, it has always been there in Africa.
Yeah.
Same-sex relationship, but now you see, but in its own form, you see.
Yes.
Yeah. And then another marriage system we can talk about is patriarchality and the matrilocality. Do you know what is patriarchality and the matrilocality?
No.
Or do you think, or if you guess, okay. Patriarchality is a social system in which a married couple lives within or near the husband's parents. You see,
Okay.
that's patri. And then matrilocality, obviously, is whereby a married couple lives with or lives near
the mother,
the wife's parents.
Okay.
Yes. So there are African communities that practice patriarchality, as much as there are some that use the matrilocal system.
Okay.
You see? So the advantage of matrilocality in African women is that they reside within people they are related to by birth. You see?
Yes.
So, yes. So the worry, the worry that comes, or I can say, the stress that comes with the relocation to another residence, you are not fully familiar with, so they don't worry with that, They don't have that worry to say, I'm now going to a new place. How are they going to treat me? It is actually
the men.
Sorry?
Someone else's worry.
The men who get worried. Yeah, it is the men who get worried that how are they going to treat me there?
Yes.
Yeah. So I can give you examples. We have got the Yao people of Malawi, Mozambique, Tanzania, and Zambia. The Yao people of Malawi, Mozambique, and Tanzania. So these Yao people, these are the people that I think you have heard of, people called the Chawa.
Yes.
Amachawa.
Yes.
Yes, those are the Yao people.
Okay.
Yes, we have them here in Bulawayo. Yes, I grew up with them.
Yes.
But now they are now in a different environment when we are with them there in Bulawayo.
Yes.
And then in Zambia, we have got social groups like the Bemba, the Chewa, the Lala, the Lamba, the Bisa, the Kaonde, and the others who practice matrilocality. You see.
Okay.
So one of the first duties of the bridegroom, right, in the bride's residence, when he goes there, is to plow in a field of his mother-in-law. So you see, you'll be like, even there are 70 there, you'll be plow, yeah, you see. So sometimes, because you are in their locality there, it's like you are the one who's doing these female chores, chores.
Yeah.
Yes, duties sometimes.
Okay.
Yes. So if the man has got more than one wife, which is polygamy, he has to visit them, or should I say, he has to visit the wives in their villages because they don't leave their homes. So you'll find a man staying in this village, going to another village. The women don't go to the man's locality.
Okay, so
yes. So
excuse me. So
yes,
the man is still allowed to. These communities still practice polygamy, but then he visits the different villages where his wives are located.
Yes, but now, okay. So this is now I think my coming points will answer that again.
Okay.
Yeah. So since the beginning of colonization and adoption of westernization, right? This cultural act is slowly it is there, but it is slowly changing. Like, for example, currently, what seems to be popular is that the husband lives in the residence of his wife on the first years or on the early years, maybe for 10 years, I don't know how many years, but on the early years. You see? Then when the family of the wife becomes fully convinced that the marriage is stable, it can now allow the couple to live among the family of the husband.
Okay.
Or sometimes you will find people are now maybe they live in the urban areas, you see?
Yes.
So in an urban area, that can also help them not to live in a matrilocal environment.
Okay.
But if they are going to the rural areas, they have to go to the matrilocal, you see.
Okay.
The woman won't allow, the woman will never allow or will disagree to go into the patrilocal, and unless maybe if they're just going there for visiting, but for residing, having a rural place to stay, matrilocal. You see. And like I said, we have got the Yao people here in Bulawayo. Yes, they are from Malawi, but we have them here in Bulawayo, and I grew up with them. And I don't even think they even know this culture.
Okay,
because now they are in
a different environment,
in a different country. Yes. But back home, it is what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also have got the Comorians, like those who are living in the Comoro Islands. Yes, they practice Islam. However, being Muslims did not or does not hinder them from being matrilocal.
Okay.
So they are also they're also. So I also mentioned them when I was speaking about the matrilineal. Now we now find them again being matrilocal. You see, the people of Comoro Islands. Yes. And then another marriage system we can talk about. There are so many, and we are going to talk about them. It is a levirate or levirate. I don't know whether you've heard of that.
No.
Okay. Levirate or levirate is a marriage system whereby a widow marries her brother-in-law. I think you've heard of that, right?
Oh, yes. I've seen.
Yes. Maybe you didn't know the name. Yes. It's called levirate or levirate. Yes.
Okay.
So the children born in that arrangement are said to belong to the late brother. You see.
Okay.
So this is meant to ensure that the woman always has someone who will help her to raise the children and ensure that her personal needs like companionship, affection, conjugal rights, and addressing the need for subsistence are met.
Okay.
You see. So, and a widow is allowed to approve or disapprove the levirate marriage and or the brother-in-law, she is requested to marry. So she can say yes or no to that, or she can even choose a brother-in-law sometimes. But in our culture, she must choose, or she must get married to the younger brother, not the older brother of the late husband.
So when you say our culture, are you talking about the Ndebele culture?
The Ndebele culture, yes.
Oh, so that happens in the Ndebele culture as well?
That happens in the Ndebele culture, yes. It is only that it is now slowly dying because of westernization.
Okay.
And and the dying of that kind of culture is also a legacy of what? Of colonization, right? Like as I say, there's some other yes. So she's allowed. So if she disapproves, she's allowed to marry anyone she wants in the society. She can remarry anyone in the society, and she can choose to remain unmarried if she wants to. You see? So she's got all that freedom, but the levirate is meant to make sure that her needs are addressed in the society. So women are well taken care of. Yes, and in some of those same-sex in some of those communities where they allow same-sex marriages, yes, you will sometimes find a widow, right?
Yeah. Getting
married to another woman, to the sister of the late brother.
Okay.
If sometimes there are no brothers or brother-in-laws in that family.
Okay.
So if she doesn't want to leave the family, if she can marry the sister-in-law. You see?
Is that also not a way of keeping the wealth or a way of retaining the late brother's wealth within the family? We can even say that,
yes. We can even say that, yes. Or sometimes she has got someone who is going to take care of. So now, what happens is, if the sister-in-law now becomes the female husband, right?
Mm-hmm.
It means that now she has got someone who is, need to address her issues.
Okay.
Like maybe with food, with anything, because she is the sister, which means she is the auntie of the children.
Okay.
Of those, yes. So yes, I do agree with your point. It is meant to address a certain issue.
Okay.
Yes. So I've given you an example of a levirate marriage that it is there in our community, even though it is slowly dying. And another reason you see with the coming of HIV and AIDS. So you will find that some people, they know that maybe the late husband died of HIV and AIDS, which means that they will be scared sometimes to be in a levirate marriage with that woman.
Yes.
Because they know that woman is going to infect them with HIV. And HIV did not start in Africa. It's something we started somewhere else.
Yes.
And it's now intervening, it's now disrupting some of the African practices, like levirate marriage.
Okay.
Or sometimes you will find that maybe the brother-in-law marries the widow, and then he gets HIV, and then he goes to his wife again and infects the wife with HIV.
Okay, yeah.
So you see now. So you see, those are some of the things that we find with around
sort of
Africa.
Like stopping the practice.
Sorry?
Those are some of the reasons that are making the practice unpopular.
Yes, be not popular, yes. Because, I mean, it's a well-known thing that, Africa has got many people who are HIV positive, right?
Yes.
It's not something, it's not a secret. It's a well-known thing, and even among us, when many people, we are also Africans, and we've got many people who are HIV positive.
Yes.
And yes, it does affect our cultural practices.
Yes.
You see. So we also, even the same people, the same communities, they also practice levirate. I think even with I know I think even with the Muslims, right? They must have been practicing this.
I have no idea. I know amongst the Shona community.
Hello, are we together? The Shona community, yes, they do practice it. Yes.
Yes.
No, I am saying the Muslims.
I said no. I have no Muslims. Idea. I can't answer that.
I think let me just verify. But I think they do. I think they have to, because many Muslims again, like as you said, they have localized Islam, which is why we said it is very popular, right?
Yes.
So they put Islam in their own way in their own way they can feel comfortable. So yes. So now they do not take away all their cultural practices, African cultural practices.
Yes.
And then we have got the mother-in-law and son-in-law relationship in the marriage system.
Okay.
So in many African communities, the son-in-law and the mother-in-law, they must avoid each other's company. I think you know about that, right?
Yes, in the Ndebele culture.
Yes, in many
they don't get over familiar. They keep the distance.
Yes, they must be shy towards each other. They must. Yes, exactly. Even when talking, they don't look at each other like directly into the eyes. Yeah. So I even say that in some local communities in Malawi and Zambia, I said one of the first things a son-in-law does is to plow for his mother-in-law. You see, so those are some of the relationships there.
Okay.
You see, and the son-in-law considers her mother-in-law as her mother. The same with the mother-in-law; she views the son-in-law as her son.
Okay.
So all this is meant to maintain respect towards each other.
Okay.
Meaning that the son-in-law has to respect the mother, and the mother is the woman, right?
Yes.
So this is another way of ensuring that a woman is being respected. And by respecting her mother-in-law, obviously, this will also encourage him to also respect
the wife,
his wife,
yes,
and his daughters.
Yes.
So mother-in-laws are like queens to their son-in-laws.
Okay.
Yes. And and in our culture we even say umkhwela yingqoza,
isn't that more like the that translates to that the son-in-law should keep providing whatever the in-laws need, but the in-laws should not be too greedy.
The son-in-law. So in our culture, if you are a son-in-law, you must always bring in presents to the mother-in-law.
Yes.
Endless presents.
Yes.
So So those are some of the benefits of a woman, or those are some of her positions. As a woman in African society.
Okay.
And speaking of marriage, marriage starts with courtship, right?
Yes.
Before people get married, they have to court each other, and so the respect a man gives to his wife usually begins during courtship or during the courting stage. So in many African cultures, the young lady must be reluctant, to the man who is asking to be his girlfriend. I think you are familiar with that, right?
Yes.
Like in my culture, a man could take in my culture, a man could take like a year working hard to convince a woman to be his. Yes, to be his girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and a girl who easily agrees to a man's proposal was or is seen as loose, unless maybe in arranged marriages. So the long process, of courtship was, or should I say, is meant to build a strong foundation for respect towards the woman in marriage.
Okay.
So if the foundation is respect, it means the marriage is also going to be respect. You see.
Okay.
So all that is meant to respect the woman. You see.
Yes.
And today, because of WhatsApp and global interactions, some people now talk about they speak in WhatsApp and then their boyfriend and girlfriend without seeing each other. you know, but well, it is what it is.
Online
and
dating.
then yes, there's online dating, and yes, but culturally, we had a system
but
that will ensure that
evolving,
and it's evolving, yes. And if you can look at these online dating, sometimes you will find someone being ghosted, like is even putting a profile picture.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
And then they date for a very long time. And sometimes that person will be sending money maybe through these electronic ways. Only to find that maybe it's not even, maybe it's even a man. So there is too much fraud, but yes, it is what it is. Well, like you say, they are evolving.
Yes.
So young girls, okay, I'm not going to talk about my culture now, the Ndebele people.
Yes.
As an example, like you will find, so long ago, you will see young girls, they had matrons, young girls, and who were their older sisters, or unmarried girls who were older than them, who were born by family friends, you see.
Okay.
So even if when they were going to the rivers, they were with someone who was their matron there, who was also young but older than them, you see. And we call them in Ndebele amaqhikiza. Like the plural is amaqhikiza and the singular is iqhikiza. So iqhikiza was a mentor, She also helped the girl during courtships.
Okay.
And when a girl finally agrees to become one's boyfriend, she took her boyfriend to iqhikiza for introduction.
Okay.
You see? Because, these young girls, sometimes they are scared of their parents. Actually, in my culture, or should I say in the culture, it's not easy for parents to talk about intimacy and the relationship with their children. You see?
Yes.
But now, culturally, again, to solve that issue, they had amaqhikiza.
Okay.
You see? As much as they're not there, but there is someone who is older than the girl, who has been appointed to be the mentor, to be the advisor, where the girl will also feel comfortable to say anything, and through that she can be protected, you see.
Okay.
So in case, let's say, for example, in a case where maybe a young lady gets pregnant,
yes,
and the boyfriend seemed not to think it was not his child.
Yes.
If the case went to the traditional court, they will ask the iqhikiza to testify how many boyfriends were introduced to her by the young lady.
Yeah.
So if iqhikiza said only one, this meant that the denying boyfriend was the father of the baby.
Okay.
So long ago, there was no one who denied paternity because of this system.
Okay.
So iqhikiza knows, iqhikiza is also a witness to say, I was only introduced to this boy since she's pregnant, and she's saying it is this boy. Yes, it is this boy.
Okay.
And remember, in our culture, they don't ask the boy, the family of the pregnant woman. They don't ask the boy or the boyfriend. They ask the parents of the boy.
Okay.
You see. So now, and then if the boy's parents, they say they are the ones who ask the boy. If the boy denies, now it means now iqhikiza now must now come into the picture, maybe under a chief in a traditional court.
Okay.
And if iqhikiza says no, I was only introduced to this boy, the chief tells the parents of that boy to say,
that's your
child is responsible for paternity. So yes, so go and pay whatever or whatever. So do you see how could the African culture protected the woman from these pregnancies that today we see, and because of the destruction of African institutions, this also meant that some cultures, some cultural practices were also destroyed, you see. And currently there are many young women who fall pregnant before marriage because they don't have monitors or matrons like amaqhikiza today.
Okay.
And some boyfriends are now denying pregnancy because traditional practices that compelled them to accept their pregnancy or their responsibilities were destroyed during colonization or because of westernization. Because the destruction of because now what happens is this colonization destroyed African traditional institutions, you see, which indirectly paved the way for these other wrong things to penetrate into the society.
But don't you think see that sometimes it's more like where some societies are patriarchal or whatever they are, those societies, people sort of like take what is beneficial for them. Like maybe in this instance, because men have seen it are using it to their advantage.
Okay, I gave you, yes, I gave you an example. You mean today or
I mean today that they're sort of like persisting with the Western culture because it benefits them.
We can say so, but the fact that it is colonization which destroyed African institutions, wrong people in the society, they are now taking advantage of that because of different reasons, like the reason you have just put.
Yes.
Reasons can be many, but the fact that people now have got an opportunity to do something which was not done,
yes,
you know, is a legacy of
to
what.
Go back to the original because it restricts them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because we now live. Because remember, after colonization, what came is that the nationalists, you know, they replaced the colonization with nationalist states, which also adopted many Western institutions.
Okay.
You see, that is why even today you will find a magistrate wearing those wigs. I don't know what those wigs they mean.
Yes.
You see, they use Roman Dutch law more better than the traditional African the African courts where chiefs are the presiding officers of a case. There they do exist, but they are inferior compared to the magistrates and to the judges. You see, so now what happened is in Africa we replaced the colonists with black people, but who are also pushing the same interest, the same Westernization interest, because even with the Witchcraft Act that I was talking about, it still does exist today. But long ago, if you were a witch, people were found to be witches long ago.
That concludes today's podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please don't forget to follow us on Facebook or YouTube, or you can also find us on Spotify, iTunes, and various other podcasts. Thank you for listening. And to Mr. Arnold Mabongwe, Nkala, thank you very much. See you again on the next episode.
Ezakithi wendawo ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wena wema wendawo ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wena wema wendawo ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wena wema wendawo ezikude zingumasithela zimfihlela wena wema. Awudali nami ngiyakhumbula lelo langa sihleli sisemaweni emaweni awudali Dali nami ngiyakhumbula lelo langa sihleli sisemaweni, emaweni, emaweni. Awu dali nami ngiyakhumbula lelo langa sihleli sisemaweni, emaweni, emaweni. Lelo langa nami ngathola intambo ethuma wami uphethwe ikhanda nami ngahamba emakhaya. Lelo langa nami ngathola intambo ethuma wami uphethwe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final episode of the roles and positions of women in pre-colonial Africa on Zing Sitelawen. Today, Mr. Arnold Nkala will talk about how revered women were in the Tuareg community to kingdoms naming themselves after very powerful women, such as the Zulu nation referring to itself as Mthaniya, to King Shamba Bolongongo of the Bakuba Kingdom, that's ancient Congo, whose council included 14 women, that's between 1600 and 1621 AD.
After independence, African leaders still use those laws like the Witchcraft Institution Act to say there are no witches to say there are no sorcerers in the in the community.
Yes.
You see, so that is so that is some of the situations we find ourselves
in.
Okay. And there are sometimes it is advantage to women. You see,
yes,
it is advantage to women. Yes. Another case I can give you about the marriage system in Africa are the Tuareg women, the Tuareg marriage. We've already spoken about them, right?
Yes.
When we speak about the airship, we say they've got these supplementary inheritance gifts. You remember about that?
Yes.
We even say they are also matrilineal, right?
Yes.
And now, so now we are going to see how their women are. What is their position in the marriage system, in the Tuareg marriage system?
Uh-huh.
So, in the Tuareg, a woman is not allowed, a man or a husband is not allowed to be angry with his wife. So the wife can report him to the traditional authorities, and he can be fined for being angry towards her.
Okay.
So it's a culture, yes.
Yeah.
And in most Muslim communities, women wear a veil. Have you ever seen that? Like they wear a veil.
Yeah.
However, Tuareg women do not wear veils. It is actually the husband who cover their faces. I think you have seen that, right? The Tuaregs covering their faces with those scarves.
Yeah.
They cover their face in their head. Those are the Moors. There was a time when you were asking me about the Moors. The Moors, like they were wearing like the Tuareg. Those are atypical Moors, the Tuareg, because the Moors were usually they were wearing, most of them they were wearing those scarves, yeah, and they were Muslims. The Moors were Muslim Africans, like the Tuaregs, yes. So you see, so in most cases, many Islamic women, they wear these veils, but the Tuaregs, it is the man who covers his face, and it is acceptable for a Tuareg woman to have multiple sexual partners,
Okay.
While she's married again.
Okay.
And it is a disgrace among Tuaregs for a husband to beat up his wife. You are seen as a shameful man for beating up your wife.
Okay.
And in divorce, it is the wife who gets almost all the property, like livestock and the tent. Actually, the tent belongs to the woman.
Okay.
So, like in a divorce, you will find a man getting out of marriage only with his camel, like he will be riding at that time.
Okay.
So So those are the and the reason why it is like that. Now here comes the question you even asked, that why is it like that? Sometimes when there's polyandry. So the reason is, as much as I said on the second episode that the Tuaregs, they emanate from the Amazigh. Do you remember?
Yes.
When I said that, yeah. So they also believe that as much as they come from there, but they come from a woman, they believe that the person who really united them to become an ethnic society, an independent ethnic society, was a woman. So the woman is highly, highly respected because it is the woman who gave birth to the Tuareg community. That this is why they use the matrilineal, because their apical ancestor is a woman.
Okay.
You see, which means this woman used her surname towards her children.
Yes. And
the children are also. So that is why you see the women, they've got so much power than men.
Okay.
Because it's like they are sort of like the head of
the family.
As much as it is a patriarchal society, but you can see that it is also indirectly a matriarchal society.
Okay.
You see? Yes. So now we come to the next point, which is the naming of African kingdoms and the nations after women. So we do have nations that are named after women. And the fact that a nation and its territory identifies itself with a woman or with the name of a woman speaks volume about how that nation respects and honors women.
Okay.
I can give you examples. We have got the Zulu people of South Africa. So the Zulu people, they also refer to themselves as the nation of Mthaniya. In Nguni, we say Mthaniya. So
okay.
So Mthaniya was a Zulu queen. She was the daughter of Manyela Sbiya, and she was the paternal grandmother of the Zulu king Shaka.
Okay.
So the Zulus, they identify their nation with a woman. Okay. They call themselves Mthaniya or Mthaniya.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have got the Shubi people again of South Africa. They are also called the Ngelengele or Amangelengele, or the Zawa or the Zawzaw or Amazawa or Amazawzaw.
Okay.
So this is the nation where the Nkala family comes from. The Nkala family before dispersal, it was under the Shubi. Yes. So they named their nation Shubi after one of their queen or their queen mother at that time. She was called La Shubi. She came from the Ndebele clan. Amabele, yeah. So she was called La Shubi. So what happens was this. So the king died. And when the king died, the great house, or should I say the woman who was supposed to give birth to the heir, had no son at that time. So they used the levirate. To enable her have a child, right, or a son.
Okay.
So to make sure that the regent, the person or the regent, or should I say the brother of the late king, should always know that this nation is not his nation, or he's not the leader. He's just a regent waiting for the actual leader to grow up and take his position.
Okay.
So they said, this is going to be, our nation is going to be called Amashubi, to remind the current
king
leader that, yes, that the heir to this throne is going to come, is the son who's going to come from the womb of Lashubi.
Okay.
So to preserve that, they said Singamashubi.
Okay.
So that it will always be a reminder, you see.
To give back the reins to the
if my memory, yes. So if my memory serves me well, the region was called Hatebe. This is where the Hatebe people come from.
Okay.
You see? Yes, it was called Hatebe. Yes. So we also have got even then the Ndebele people or from Zululand, we call ourselves Umtwaras. I believe you know that.
Yes.
So yes. So there are many interpretations I like why we are called Umtwaras. And one of them that I'm going to talk about now is because they say that is from the woman is from a female Khoi son, or from a female son, or from a female Khoi woman.
Okay.
So they say, because of these endless wars, we are going to talk about them maybe on the next episode or so. Yes. So they say there was this female diviner who was a Khoi son, or was a Khoi or a son. She was called Umuto because in Ndebele we say the Khoi people and the San people that are called Abatwa. Yeah. If in singular we say Umutwa. They say she prophesied that there is a man called Mzilikazi who is going to come and end this war in this territory. So when that thing happened, so they said Umtwakazi said this, like saying that the female Khoi son diviner said this.
Okay.
So in order for that to be, so they call the nation, this is the nation of Umtwakazi. It's the nation of Umtwakazi. Yes, that Umtwakazi, this is the nation that she was talking about. This is her nation, you see.
Okay.
So there's also that interpretation. There are many interpretations, but there's also that interpretation. And they say that there are people who believe in that interpretation. It also shows that people can identify. It shows that people identify themselves with a woman. And they are not ashamed of that.
The voice of some of women.
Yeah, so it says a lot about how they view women.
Okay.
You see. And then another point would be about governance. Governance.
Okay.
There are many African communities where women were or are like chief advisors for the kings, or they have got ministerial positions in the king's court. So they are allowed to have higher positions in the society. Yes, higher like decision-making positions that can affect the whole community.
Yes,
and other communities that interact with that community. So I can give you a few examples. We have got a king who was called Shamba Bolongongo, King Shamba Bolongongo, of the Bushongo people. Bushongo people, they are in present day Democratic Republic of Congo in Kasai province there.
Okay.
Yes. So King Shamba, he ruled between 1600 and 1621. So in his council there, he included about 14 women in his council.
Okay.
So it's more like a parliament. There are 14 women, yes. Making decisions there. And two of them were his sisters. 1600 to 1621.
Okay.
That is the 17th century, yes. Yeah. Then he's called the Shamba. I can give you the...
Oh, no, that's
Shamba
okay.
Is in S.
I just wanted to sort of like give a timeline.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah. So, two of these women were his sisters.
Okay.
And one of them had the power to declare war or peace.
Okay.
So she had the final saying with war or so the declaration of war or peace was not on the king. It was on his sisters.
Okay.
One of his sisters, yes.
Okay.
And so during the time of peace, this sister of hers would be seen, will be wearing a bowstring, you see, a bowstring around her neck.
Okay.
So if she wore a bowstring around her neck, it was a sign that, she has declared peace.
Okay.
And during the times of war or in the outbreak of a war, she publicly handed the bowstring to the Minister of War.
Okay.
So the Minister of War was in their language, they call it Nyipita. So she handed the bowstring to the Nyepita. Once she hands it, it doesn't matter what the king says. It's a sign that it's now time for war.
Okay.
You see? So that is so much power. And that thing, that thing of including women in the council there, it continued even after King Shamba was late. Yes, among the Bushongo people. And then we have got Princess Nkala. I had spoken about her. I think you remember when I said she was the auntie of King Shaka. She was a Zulu princess who was the mastermind behind the Zulu throne.
Okay.
So she was born a twin, and in Nguni culture, twins were viewed as disabled or a curse. You see, so when she grew up, people viewed her as a national curse.
Okay.
But she worked hard to ensure that the Zulu nation stays alive.
Yeah.
So she was the kingmaker, actually, and she was the chief conspirator behind the assassination of King Shaka. You see, so King Shaka's assassination was made possible because of Princess Nkala, her aunt, and she saw that Shaka had to be eliminated because she felt that what King Shaka was doing at that time was not compatible with the Zulu way of life at that time.
Okay.
When she yes. Because after the death of King Shaka's mother, it was around 1826. King Shaka died in 1828. These last 2 years, it seems like he was in a nervous breakdown. You see,
okay,
which is why her aunt, when she conspired with others to say, let's take him out, it was successful because of when Princess Nkala says this happens, everything that she touched turns to gold, which is why even someone like as mighty as King Shaka, he was assassinated because of the power and influence of Princess Nkala.
Okay.
And I even said to you that she was the commander of Abaqulusi. Do you remember when I said that?
Yeah.
Yes. And she was so powerful to a point that no man managed to marry her. She died unmarried.
Okay.
And yeah. So that is how powerful she was. Yes. Thank you. She was, people were scared of her. Yes. Yeah. So I speaking of that, I even know of another princess, the Ndwandwe princess. The Ndwandwes were also in Nguniland there. So there was this king called Zwide Kalanga. Zwide is the son of King Langa. She also had a daughter called Madungudu. This daughter, she was a rainmaker. She was a rain diviner.
Okay.
So she could make the lightning. She could make the lightning she could make the thunder and lightning, and people got scared. And no man even dared to marry her. No man dared. She died a virgin. No man touched her. Oh, Madungudu, because they were scared. Yeah. So King Zwide's daughter, Princess Madungudu, was also like a Princess Nkala. She was very powerful. That men were so scared of her. So sometimes in an African society, in a practical society, there are women who are so powerful that men are even scared to marry them. That is how that is their position. That is their role. So being a woman does not mean that people are not. Being a woman does not mean that you are a weakling. You can be a woman, and men can be, and you can even conspire powerful kings like Shaka to be killed.
Yes.
You see. Yes. So, and then in modern Africa, we also have women in ministerial positions. In national states. Some are or were even presidents. For example, we have got Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who was the president of Liberia. We have got Jos Banda, who was the president of Malawi. We have got Amina Korib Fakim, the president of Mauritius. We have got Saleh Work Zeute of Ethiopia. We have currently we have got Mama Samia Hassan, the acting president of Tanzania. So you see, even in national states, they've even taken that.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Present day, we've got some really powerful women in Africa.
Yes. So you see, so that culture has been transported. They've been transferred to the modern Africa.
Okay.
But women have always been powerful in those ministerial positions, and they've influenced the kings. And I also believe even in the household, women are also influential, even if the final decision can't go is taken by the man. But in most cases, he would have been advised or influenced by the woman there by the bedroom there. We call it the bedroom politics, you see. So when the man comes out and shout and do all those things, and the woman is sitting there as if she's not involved, she has been influencing the whole man the whole night, you see. And in the morning she acts as if she knows nothing. So African women are like the shepherd. Do you know how a shepherd leads livestock? Yeah. You know how a shepherd does, yeah?
Yes.
So yes, a shepherd leads from behind.
Yes.
Being behind does not mean that you are not powerful. So women, just because they're not in the front, yes, but they are leaders in their own terms. Yes. And in terms that we feel that they are being misinterpreted. They are so powerful, And in many cases, sometimes if a woman says no to a man, to an African man, the African men sometimes can respect that. But if a woman says yes, the African man becomes empowered,
Okay.
And I think this also happens even in some other communities, which is why we have got sayings like behind what they say behind a successful man there is a woman behind. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah, something along those. So it means maybe it's a universal thing. Yes. That women are empowered, but their power is misinterpreted or is not being recognized the way it must be recognized by the people. Yes. And the last point I can talk I can present has got to do with languages. So women are the custodians of languages that are found in their communities. You see? So language is very, very important because in social identity. I think it's the most important thing in someone's identity to say, we are this because we speak this,
Yes.
Of course, language cannot determine one's identity or ethnicity, but language plays a very big role in identity. And women, they are the ones who are the custodians. They are the ones who teach the young children, who teach the children the language, you see.
Yes.
They are the ones who are always with the children. And I've got evidence to prove that a woman can affect the... hello, are we together?
Yes, I'm listening. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I am going to give you some examples that a woman can affect a language in a society. We have got the Ngoni people, I believe you know them, right? Mm-hmm. They are found in Malawi, in Zambia, in Tanzania.
Yes.
The Ngoni people, they are from present-day South Africa as Ngoni people. Yes. Actually, to say Ngoni is actually a corruption of Ngoni. They are Ngoni people.
Okay.
So they moved as men. During those wars, those infected wars that we are going to talk about. They moved as men because they were from a war. So they had fewer women. So now they had to have women. So they started to raid other people, getting women there. And they started to have children. But the children if you go today to Zambia, to Malawi, to Tanzania, they can't even speak. They can't speak Nguni, but they are Nguni. They've got Nguni surnames like Masego, Zulu. They've got many Nguni surnames.
Yes.
Jele, they've got Jele. Yes. So, but if they can't speak their language because the presence of a Nguni woman was not there when they left, and it affected their language. Yes. Yes.
So they've got their father's surnames.
They've got their father's surnames, but they've got their mother's
languages. Okay.
And then you tell me that women are not powerful in Africa. So you see, so they are the custodians of
language.
Of language. I think even universal, because I think in English they call it mother tongue. You know, the language that I speak, they call it the mother tongue.
The mother tongue.
You see,
okay.
So yes. So it means maybe if some of these aspects we see in African women, it's like we also see it even in other continents.
They are universal.
So they are universal, yes. So as much as we are speaking about African women here, we are actually speaking about women throughout the whole world.
Yes.
Which means many people must listen to this podcast, because as much as it is directed to African people, or it talks about African people, however, it talks about everybody. Yes. You see, yes. Yeah. So I think, that is the end of my presentation today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nkala. It was a pleasure to listen to some of the stuff that you told us about. Especially, the most interesting for me was the sororities. I found that very interesting.
Oh, the sororities.
Yes.
Yes.
And
wow, yes.
We look forward to the next podcast. Like we said, on the next podcast, we'll be talking about Umfekanes, or the displacement of the Zulu nation. That concludes today's session. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you so much for your support. To Mr. Arnold Nkala, thank you. We appreciate your hard work. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please don't forget to share with your friends, subscribe on our YouTube channel or TikTok, or follow us on Spotify and iTunes. Thank you. Bye. Zingifihlela wena wema wendaba ezikude